live to the air, shall we? Race live streams. There it is. So, streams up, chats up, we're all welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to round 12 of the PS4 Tier 2 Pacific Series here on Race Spec Esports. It's time for one of the most legendary races on the Formula 1 calendar. It's been on the Formula 1 calendar every single year since its inauguration back in 1950. It's time for the Italian Grand Prix at the third oldest racetrack in the world, Autodromo Nazionale di Monza. Actually, I don't know the length of it off the top of my head, and unfortunately I don't have it written down in front of me. Give me a minute. Monza. I know it has 11 corners. It's actually one of the few tracks I don't have a proper sort of information sheet on, unfortunately. So I'm going to hop on Wikipedia and have a gander at this racetrack. Grade 1, created in 1922. Like I said, it's the third oldest racetrack in the world, behind only Indianapolis Motor Speedway and an old circuit in the UK called Brooklands, which was the first ever purpose-built racing facility. 5.7 kilometre, that sounds about right. 5.8 kilometre Grand Prix circuit, only 11 corners on this racetrack. But of course, there's some of the most legendary corners in Formula 1, the Della Ruggia chicane, the two Lesmos, the Scari, and of course, Parabolica. But this track is all about one thing, and that's speed. It's Formula 1's Temple of Speed. It's the home of Ferrari, the Tifosi, and most importantly, the home of horsepower. The fastest around the track are those who sit on top of the table tonight. So those who have the lowest of low wings, those who have the lowest of low cars, will be sitting towards the top of the table. Problem is, though, when you run low wings with a very low car, the car becomes incredibly unstable. It becomes very, very difficult to drive, so some drivers might make compromises just so then they don't make a mistake during the race, which is incredibly easy, particularly at the Ascari chicane. It is so incredibly easy that if you touch a curb there, you're pretty much guaranteed to spin round. But taking us around this 5.8k circuit is our current championship leader, G-Force Dre. Now, he's got the soft tyre fitted on. It's a soft to medium racetrack, very, very straightforward. And heading towards the first chicane. And we're going to see a fair amount of drama here at the beginning of the race. Through turn 2, up into second gear, third gear, fourth gear, fifth, sixth gear. Now through Curva Grande. Absolutely flat out. Eighth gear, hugs the inside line. And keep the car to the right-hand side, ready for the Della Ruggia chicane. I think it's Della Ruggia, unless I've got the two chicanes confused. Anyway, through Lesmo 1, fifth gear, runs a very nice line into the second Lesmo. Fifth gear, runs a very nice line. Driver trying not to use too much of the curb, it seems. The inside curb at the second Lesmo tends to unsettle the car a little bit, so you do have to be careful. Into Ascari, sixth gear down to fifth. Short shifts to sixth. No, uses all of fifth gear. Interesting. Then all of sixth gear, seventh gear, eighth gear. And what's that speedo climb? 5 kilometers an hour here. They're the highest top speeds of any track on the Formula 1 calendar. Out of Parabolica and up towards the finish line, it's a 1 minute 18.9. So already we're into the 18s. In Tier 3, it took us a little while to get into those times, but G-Force Dre setting an almighty benchmark, 1 minute 18.929. As the rest of the drivers are setting their first flying laps, I better talk about the championship. So at the moment there's one man who stands head and shoulders above the rest, and that's G-Force Dre. He's on spectacular form at the moment, coming off a win at Spa. Whereabouts is it? Pacific Series. Scroll up a little bit. There's Tier 2. Now hopefully Discord won't be a pain in the arse. It isn't, thank goodness. Having Texas P2 with a 19.2. Edmonds coming around to finish his lap, but yes, it's G-Force Dre on top of the table on 199 points, with OP Magic in second, 131. points next to his name. He is 68 behind G-Force Dre. Harass, the defending champion from Season 2, is on 99 points. He's 100 behind his teammate. And he's in a very tense battle with this man's teammate, actually, Banana Cake Pie. He's on 98 points. He's only 1 point behind Harass, so they're very, very close. With Curving Texas in 5th on 82, in a close battle with Kickbutt Kiwi on 81. The next full-time driver in the points is P9, which is Blocky Rex on 44. So at the moment, sort of got two standout drivers in the form of G-Force Dre and OP Magic. And you would have to say that G-Force Dre has got this championship in the bag, but you never know. There's still a lot of racing to take place in this season, so anything can happen, particularly at a racetrack as chaotic as Monza. As I experienced in the Tier 3 race, it seems to be a track where the best course of action is to stay out of trouble. The field tends to be pretty close around here, very few corners. Technically this circuit isn't particularly demanding. It's only a bunch of straights and chicanes, as well as 2 Lesmos and Parabolica. But so the times are very, very close, similar to what Austria is like, as a matter of fact. So it's all about just keeping yourself out of trouble, I think, is the best course of action. And if you're towards the front at the end, well, good on you. That is absolutely fantastic. But for all of these drivers, it's about not getting penalties, not getting damage, and not causing accidents, as a Tier 3 demonstrated to a T, as it turned out. Now we're coming towards 11.5 minutes left in qualifying. Everyone on the softs. No one's even tried the medium tyre. It's very much a soft to medium sort of racetrack. You can use the hard tyre, though I wouldn't recommend it. In my opinion, the medium tyre will do just nicely. There's no need to go on to the hard tyre. Dre to win again. Dre to win by 5-second penalty. Okay, well, that's fair to say that Dre will win this race, and understandably so, to be perfectly honest. He's shown exceptional form all the way throughout the season so far. But this is Monza, as I said. All it takes is one small mistake, and the rest of the field will just catch up to you within an instant. So, and also this track has a knack of developing some late race safety cars, so we might see one of those for tonight's race, who knows. Rock invalidating his lap. We're going to see a few of those, I think, in qualifying. There's a couple of places, it seems, where drivers struggle to keep it within the track limits. I myself don't mind the racetrack in terms of its track limits. I don't really cut too many corners, too much to the point where I get track extending warnings. I haven't found that around here yet. But maybe that's because I'm not pushing hard enough. With the track only being 11 corners, there's very little margin for error. So you have to be constantly pushing if you want to achieve very, very quick lap times. Let's see. We'll go with Kickbutt Kiwi as he's begun a lap. Let's have a look here. So we're coming up to one of the parts of the circuit where we may see a corner cut here at turns 4 and 5. Here you want to use as much of the curb as you can, and I don't think that's enough. He used enough of the second curb at turn 5. He did a good job there, but he probably should have cut a bit more at turn 4. Uses all the curb at turn 6. Wide, didn't get a track extending warning though. G-Force Dre betters his time at 18.7. And he's getting no love from his teammate Harass. There's no toe as of yet. Kickbutt Kiwi's up on his time. Through Ascari we might see this. That's exactly what we might see at Ascari. Curves around that chicane are deadly. Avoid them at all costs. Don't touch them. No, naughty, don't touch. You can touch them a little bit though, and I'll show you where you can, or where I've noticed you can, if I could find an appropriate driver to go with. Oh, it's going to be G-Force Dre then. He's on an in lap. But at Ascari, you really have to cut the first bit. Don't cut the middle bit at Ascari. That's where you spin. Cut the first bit. This corner here. Use all of that, just like that. And you can use a little bit of curb, as Dre demonstrated. Don't use too much of it, otherwise the car will just oversteer you into a barrier. And most importantly, don't cut the final bit. The curb is really stood up. As who's that? That's curving Texas. Having a meeting with that tyre barrier there. Getting to know the fans. He is in an Alfa Romeo, of course. An Italian sponsored car. If they aren't cheering for Ferrari, they'll definitely cheer for Alfa Romeo. But yeah, you can cut a little bit there, but don't cut that bit. Don't cut turn 10. Because that will definitely spin you round. You'll get a lot of oversteer if you cut that corner there. The drivers will be avoiding that at all costs. Jogger's on a flyer, it appears. No, he must... Oh, no, he mustn't be. He's way down on the timesheets. Roscoe Arm, oh, sorry. Not Roscoe Arm, The Rock. Not on a flyer. Edmund, invalidated. Harass, invalidated. Can I ride on board with someone who's on a lap? No? Okay then, game. Cool. We'll go with this guy though. Because this guy pretty much is the only man who can challenge Dre for the title. He's got exceptional talent. And I have to give him more respect than what I used to in the past. What I never realized is, like me, he uses absolutely no assists, and I have an incredibly high respect for that. And considering he's so exceptionally fast, you have to say this kid's got plenty of talent. Coming towards turn 1, a bit of a lock-up. Bit of a messy run through the opening chicane, but does a good job on the exit. Gets plenty of speed towards Curva Grande. 8th gear. Doesn't quite hug the inside like Dre did, but takes a more open line. And that's how you cut the first part, but he stuffed up the second bit. Okay, that's exactly how you should cut the first part. You should use all the curb. The game is quite lenient there. Here, the second las mode, maybe just touch the inside curb. Didn't oversteer the car too much when he did that. You can hear him really revving the car out, trying to get as much horsepower out of the engine. Into Ascari, missed the first apex a little bit. But he gets a nice exit. He flows it through quite well. Very minimal steering movement. He's not turning in and having to sort of correct his steering. Through Parabolica and up to the line. 1 minute 19.3. So he knows he's got more time than that. I noticed a couple of mistakes. He's only 1,000th behind Grim Reaper. That's how close it is at the moment between some of these drivers. In fact, from second all the way down to 11th place, they're all within a second of each other, which is somewhat expected here at Monza. Banana, currently 4th in the championship, coming through the Ascari chicane. Bit slow on the entry. He gets a very nice exit. Down the back straightaway. And heading towards Parabolica, aiming for that 50 board. There it is there. Look at that, turns in, 5th gear, gets on the accelerator, gets on the noise pedal, out of the corner and across the line, a 1:19.5, he goes P9. Kickbuck Kiwi, he did a lap on the medium tyre, but he's come back into the pits. Right about Dre's teammate. Harass, he's currently plumb last as GeForce Dre just beats his own time with an 18.5, proving to be a master of Monza. GeForce Dre, excuse me. I mean, to be 6/10 clear around a racetrack that only has 11 corners, it's pretty impressive. Into the second Lesmo, 4th gear, up into 5th gear, then immediately into 6th. That way it minimises wheel spin. Alright, into the Ascari chicane, 143 kilometres an hour on entry. Flows it through Missing the apex of the final part of Ascari though. So he lost a little bit of time, just a little bit. Not a lot, maybe half a tenth, 3/4 of a tenth. Into Ascari, 4th gear, up into 6. He completely ignores 5th gear, he kicks to the right hand side. Up to the line, 118, 118.9. So he's 4/10 off his teammate at the moment, but it's a Mercedes 1-2. Where have I heard that before? Don't know. Anywho. Nana's coming in. The Rock starting his lap. He's 1 second off pole. Wow. GeForce Dre just showing exceptional speed. Oh, and that's so easy to do. That is so easy to pick up by even a little bit at turn 1. Yeah, you ruin the entire lap. There's no point. So the drivers are in the pits. They're readying themselves up for their final flying laps. And at the moment, if they want pole position, they've got an almighty mountain to climb. And I don't quite know how they're going to do it. I think Edmund is going to be the first driver to potentially set his final flying lap. Keep an eye on that speedo. 445, 346, sorry. Heading into turn 1, through turn 2. Now Curva Grande, turn 3. Keeps to the inside, hugs that inside line. Heading towards turns 4 and 5. Oh, and invalidates. He cuts too much of turn 4. But what he's done, he's given himself enough time to do another flying lap. He's got enough time to do another. So it's not done and dusted for the Renault driver just yet. Kiwi on a flyer. Takes a first Lesmo well into the second. 5th gear. Nice exit. Let's watch that Sectors 2 split time. He's done a 19.6. If he improves by 2 or so tenths of a second, he can find himself in P8. Oh, but he invalidates. But he's given himself time to do another fire, if he needs it. The Rock in P9 at the moment, Ferrari 8th and 9th. Close between those two at the moment, the two teammates. Sector 2 yellows, that's just a slow car. Edmund has retired from the session in the pits, he's had enough. So he's going to start from 13th on the grid, which isn't exactly the worst thing in the world at Monza. Like I said, this race is just about managing mistakes, trying not to make any penalties, try not to get any damage, and just keep with the leaders, keep within DRS range of the leaders, and then you're always in contention. Blocky, currently P3, dropped down by his teammate to P4. But what about this man? How much has he got left in the tank? No, he's on it. He's jumped out of a lap, so he's not going to improve. Well, that Conrad. F1 Hawk jumps up to P3. A 118.9. What about Conrad straight? Up to the line. It's an 18.9 as well. That is stupidly close between P2 to P4. Oh, and that's close as well. 3 wide in qualifying. Blocky not on a flyer. Joggles is on a flyer. Banana Cake Pie is on a flyer as well. And he'll get a sneaky toe here from Mr. Dre. You'll like that very much. Heading towards Parabolica. 5th gear. 6th. 7th. 8th gear up to the line. 18. 19.1. He jumps to P7. What about Joggles? He's up by half a tenth. Really wide at Parabolica using all of the tarmac. Across the line, it's a 19.2. He does improve, but it's only P10. Look at how stupid the times are. I kid you not. Like 18-9, 18-9, 18-9, 19 flat, 19 flat, 19-1, 19-1, 19-1, 19-2, 19-3, 19-3, 19-4. And then it's a 3/10 jump to Edmund, but Edmund didn't get to do a final flying lap. So he had more speed underneath him. That is actually stupid how close the field is. And the Rocky's going to peel into the pits on low fuel mode, it seems. Ran out of fuel, so he's going to come in and retire from the session, and we can move on to the race itself. Wow, that is close. But there's a man who sits head and shoulders above the rest. That's GeForce Dre. 1 minute 18.538. The purple is very difficult to read. 530, that's what it is. Man, that purple is really difficult to read. My word. Dre needs to be truck tested. Well, I can certainly say he's a maestro of this circuit, it seems. You wouldn't think around a racetrack that isn't incredibly technical. As I said, it's straight in chicanes and 2 Lesmo corners and parabolica. That's all that this track is. Yet he's found 37/100ths of a second. Somehow. That's quite a pole time, I have to say. Conrad Strait, well, P2, just behind his harass, so it's not a Mercedes 1-2. Big sad for Mercedes. F1 Hawk in P4, Grim Reaper P5, Kevin Texas P6, Banana 7th, Blocky 8th, Kick by Kiwi in 9th, and Joggles rounding out the top 10. And all of them will be starting on the soft compound tyre. And I reckon, I have a feeling, all of the drivers will start on the soft compound tyre. On this racetrack, it is super easy to get damage on lap 1. If you go onto a hard set or a medium set, you're pretty screwed for the race. You're pretty damn screwed. So I wouldn't be at all surprised if everyone decided to start on the soft tyre, unless there's a driver in the field who believes they can manage to not get mistakes on the opening lap. They can keep themselves clean, not get into any trouble, they can keep up with the leaders, they can be in a good position for the end of the race. But it's a very big risk around this circuit. As soon as you get out of that sort of leading pack, it is almost impossible to get back into it, unless, of course, there's the magical Mercedes safety car that appears, which is entirely possible here at Monza. So expect the unexpected is what I'm saying here, folks. This is going to be one crazy ride, I reckon. As the drivers should be ready to go. Let's see how many turn. Yeah, we all know it. It's turn 1. We all know it. Alright, let's have a look. Okay, we have 2 drivers on the medium tyre. I had a feeling most of them would probably pick the softs, but 2 of them haven't. And they're 2 pretty experienced drivers, OP Magic and Roscoe Arm. Both of them have plenty of kilometres under their belt. They're both experienced drivers. I would have to say, if you want to go onto the mediums, you would have to be pretty... You have to be pretty confident in your own ability to not make mistakes. And those 2 drivers are some of the best operators. If those bottom 11 can pull that off, I would definitely put the likes of OP and VSR Roscoe on towards the top of that list. But rather sensibly, The Rock, Edmund and Sorel, very sensibly soft tyres. That way, if there is a mistake on the first couple of laps, you can slam on the hard tyre and go to the end. You'll still be in a lot of trouble, but at least you've got a backup plan if you do manage to get into trouble at the start of the race. But for these guys, they really cannot afford to make any mistakes whatsoever. But Dre warming his tyres up, trying to get them up to temperature. I noticed the more I play the game, the more I realise how important it is to get those tyres up to temperature. because you drive on cold tyres, and it's honestly the worst experience for about half a lap, because the car is doing absolutely whatever it wants. It's not doing what you want, it's doing what it wants. And it's horrible around racetracks like, oh, I don't know, Spa, where you've got the likes of Eau Rouge and Raidillon. So when you've got cold tyres going through some of the most frightening, technical and demanding corners in motorsport, it's kind of a terrifying experience, as some of the people in the chat may understand what I'm getting at here. Had a league race at Spa. That's that was something else. But yeah, very, very important for these guys to get their tyres up to temp and get ready for turn 1, because it's going to be carnage through there. All the drivers are lined up. The game's saving. We're all good to go. 5 red lights. And it's lights out. And away we go here at Temple of Speed. And that's a shocking start from G4 Stray. And look at that. He falls into the mid pack. Oh, and into the wall goes Banana. Oh, dearie me. Dearie me. That's massive damage. He's going to have to come in and get that repaired. It's bound to be an orange wing. So surely that's an orange wing. But you had a feeling that would happen with Banana being forced out onto the grass. He tried to keep it there beside G4 Stray, but he just couldn't hold it. Once that happens, the car does what it wants, and it went into the wall just before turn 1. These two having a bit of a scrap side by side through the second Lesmo, and curving Texas up into 4th place. Meanwhile, Conrad Strait has had a magnificent start. He's already got a 1-second lead over Harass. F1 Hawk not too far behind, curving just behind him. Grim Reaper, G4 Strait side by side into the first part of Ascari. Reaper shutting the door, not letting the Mercedes by. Curving, overtaking F1 Hawk for 3rd place. Slipstreaming by is G4 Stray into 5th, overtaking Grim Reaper. Now through Parabolica to complete the first lap of 27 here at Monza. And it's Conrad Strait who leads, Harass in 2nd. Curving Texas is in 3rd place, with F1 Hawk in 4th, as the leaderboard proceeds to shit itself, as it does on every 2nd lap. Oh my word. Oh, side by side between Blocky and Kiwi. Oh, that could have been nasty. We have a few ghosted cars, but that's only because of the leaderboard. On the track itself, these cars aren't ghosted. They can see each other. Through Curva Grande goes to midfield. Now this is going to be a struggle for me, because the field is so incredibly bunched up. As Conrad Strait, the race leader, has left the session. He's dropped out. Oh, and OP given the big squeeze by Blocky Rex. OP does have to be careful. Blocky is notorious for taking the apex when he wants it. He doesn't leave the gap open for other drivers to get through. Through the second Lesmo. Very wide goes the Red Bull of Sorel, but he catches it well. But Conrad Strait, he's losing a lot of positions. Hopefully someone can give him an invite. If not, I might have to. I'm pretty sure Dre sent secondary invites out to everyone, so I'm sure he's rejoining as we speak. Otherwise, I might have to pause the stream just briefly. Oh, dearie me. Conrad, he'd be absolutely furious. There he is. He's rejoined. Has he taken control of his car yet? No. The game's not letting him take control of his car. Still not there, still not there. DRS is enabled. Lap 3 of 27. Oh no. Oh, Conrad would be absolutely furious with that. So Harass is your new leader. And he's got an Alfa Romeo hunting him down, curving Texas. Only just behind. So Conrad now officially back in the session. As you can see, the leaderboard is complete. Oh no! Oh no, 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 no! And I'm pretty sure that is Conrad Strait. He is taken out Kitbuck Kiwi at the chicane. Yeah, he has it in 8th gear. That's a human in control of that car. And also, that's not a high behaviour. Every time they change gear, they lift off the throttle. So, to add salt into the wound, Conrad Strait leading drops out, rejoins, collects a racing point. Let's have a... Oh, yeah, The Rock having a big moment at the exit of Ascari. Has he got damage? Oh, very lucky he doesn't. So he can continue. A kickback here, which surely has damage from that. Yeah, he does. Look at that. End plate is missing on that racing point. But similar to what Banana's doing right now, he's soldiering on. He's not going to box. He knows if he gets out of this sort of slipstream area, he's going to lose too much time to the people he's trying to battle with. So he's going to keep going, Conrad straight into the pits. Now, is he going to continue, or is he going to retire from the session, I wonder? Because I'm pretty sure this is him in control of this car. New front wing there, and onto the hard compound tyre. Meanwhile, the leaders minding their own business, it seems. Gaps are over a second between the top two, and between second and third as well. F1 Hawk just in behind GeForce Dre in P3, 7/10 separating him to third place. He's got Grim Reaper not too far behind. Awkward one through Ascari though, dearie me, that was very awkward. Kickback Kiwi soldiering on with that wing, and he's doing a superb job hanging on to 6th place. You wouldn't think after an accident like that you'd be in that sort of position, but he's soldiering on and he's doing a good job. And look at this angry pack of cars, all of them trying to stay within the points, trying to stay within this train, so then they can capitalise on other people's mistakes. This is what Monza provides. This is the sort of racing that Monza provides. It's very NASCAR-esque. Got these slipstream battles going on. Just, oh, Edmund. You could see there he was weaving the car, trying to get it stopped to not run up the back of Joggles in P9. We just need a bit of bump drafting and it's NASCAR completely. I quite simply have no idea where to look at the moment. Or Edmund's got to run, can't capitalise though. Joggle's doing a good job as well, managing his ERS. Same with OP. The Madman's still on 100%. What is this? Look at that, he's not even using any. He's just staying within the train. You can see there, he's thinking about the end game. Trying not to spend too much ERS too early. Something that I learned through experience just recently. It's a very important thing that you have to conserve your resources for the end game. So important that you do. Meanwhile, Texas is in a position to attack, and attack he will, down the inside, head towards the turn 1 chicane, hard on the brakes, he has the inside line, harass, doesn't put up too much of a fight, a very wise move there. So curving Texas now leads. Well, I think that Tifosi would approve of that. If it's not a Ferrari, then it has to be an Alfa Romeo that is leading this race. And that's exactly what's happening. Not too far behind. F1 Hawk, 1.5 seconds. So long as he stays there, he's in a good position. Touch of the leaders. He wants that seat just in front. Because if they really start to scrap, they'll bring F1 Hawk into it. Meanwhile, we've got this. One after another, all coming through the second Lesmo. Underneath the overpass of the historic oval that's on this racetrack. It used to be part of the Grand Prix circuit back in the 50s and 60s, which formed an exactly 10-kilometer racetrack. It was exactly 10 kilometers on the original layout. But then the banking actually got pulled down. I can't remember what year, but it got built back up again after the local people were so upset about the banking being torn down. So they rebuilt it, but the track wasn't exactly 10 kilometers anymore. I think it was actually a little bit longer than 10 kilometers. So what they decided to do, instead of tearing down the banking and redoing it so then it's exactly 10 Ks again, what they decided to do was re-profile one of the corners on the circuit. And that's how we got Parabolica in its current form. In its original shape, it was somewhat more like Mexico's final corner on that old layout, where it was a nice curve, somewhat semicircular shape. Oh, and off the circuit goes Edmonton P13, dearie me. But now, it's got a very tight apex with an open, sort of increasing radius exit. It's one of the best corners in Formula 1 in my opinion. Absolutely love Parabolica. These guys still really, really scrapping out. But aren't really able to get themselves into position to overtake, it seems. OP Magic, side by side with Joggles, heading towards the corner I was just speaking about. Side by side, believe it or not, it's overtaking around there is pretty fun. You can make the outside line work pretty damn well, especially if you've got the grip to make it work. Oh, here we go. Turn 1, shenanigans, here we go. Down the inside goes OP Magic. He's not fooling around. Bit of contact, but nothing too major. OP hangs on to 9th place. I say hang on because when you make side pod contact like that, it's so easy for the car to spin round. So easy. But he controls the car well. Doesn't move up a position, but importantly stays in 9th and stays with this pack. Oh, defending. It's Joggles. Back onto the racing line goes Joggles. He defended the inside, then he went back onto the racing line. I personally don't have too much of a problem with that. Maybe OP has a different story. Meanwhile, the leaders are starting to close up, so once this simmers down, I'll go up to the top 3 in just a moment. Oh, Joggles having a moment and a half. Dear me. Oops, said Banana. Yeah, bit of an oopsie. Oh, and another oopsie! Almost the exact same oopsie as what happened on the first lap. But this time it's Joggles and one of the Alfa Romeos, which is Blocky Rex, and into the pits, Dre and F1 Hawk. Oh, that's a big, big moment. And Joggles surely had damage. You're joking. Look at that, complete front wing. Do any drivers have damage right now? Excuse me. The Red Bull doesn't. Roscoe Arm doesn't. And OP and Roscoe Arm, look at that. Kept out of trouble. They're 5th and 6th right now. You also saw, especially with OP, he wasn't driving too aggressively. You know, he saw an opportunity at turn 1, he took it. But if he was being aggressive, he would be at, I don't know, 20% ERS right now. He's thinking long term. And he's doing a spectacular job of that. Looking at Roscoe Arm, he's had to spend resources to keep up. Only on 12%. So he needs to go into conservation mode, save up a little bit of resources. And that's exactly what he's not doing, using overtake at the exit of Ascari. The GeForce Dre F1 Hawk onto the medium compound tyre, trying to get an undercut on curving in a RAS. The undercut is somewhat affected. Into the pits goes Kick Butt Kiwi. Doesn't get a 5-second penalty. Orozco Arm right in behind. Oh, he pulls out. He has to go deep. But you can see there, he went on the brakes. He didn't want to overtake. He just wants to follow OP. So he wants to work with the Haas here. Try and battle towards the end of the race, but work together now. Because it's better off if they do that. Looking at the pit stops. Kiwi onto hard tyres, Blocky onto medium tyres. The Rock onto medium tyres as well. I think that's a smart call. The hard tyres, they're a bit of a nothing tyre around here. You only use them if your race goes pear-shaped like Banana and Conrod Straight. But the field is now starting to settle down. Gaps are starting to form, but when are the top 2 pitting? It's Curving Texas stays out another lap. Harass is diving into the pits. 80 km/h speed limit. You do have to be careful. The pit lane does come up pretty quickly. There's the pit window, lap 11 to 12. Onto the medium compound tyre. You can see there was some scuff marks on those soft tyres, so they were pretty worn. Into the pits, Grim Reaper, Sorrel, Joggles, Edmund, all of them in. Onto a set of medium compound Pirellis. So, and oh wow. Give me a minute. Yeah, that was a genuine pit stop. He has lost so much time to his teammate. I think Banana's right. We might need to drug test this man. Because those two were quite close to each other, about a second apart, before the pit stops. They're 4.8 now. This man's on a completely different planet right now. My word. Into the pits goes race leader, Curving Texas. Keep an eye on that first green dot. This is it, of G-Force Drive. 80 km/h speed limit. It's quite a long pit lane at Monza. He's going on to medium compound tyres. He's going to be stationary for about 3 seconds. Away he goes. And there goes Dre. The undercut from G-Force Drive. That is nuts. Like, Curving has come out where he should be. There's Harass not too far behind. Harass got a bit of an undercut, about a second in his favour. But 4 seconds in front is G-Force Drive over Curving Texas. That's the effective race lead once the top two box. Excuse me? He did that in 2 laps? Oh my word. That's exceptional driving. Meanwhile, the current race leaders, OP Magic, VSR Roscoe, they're going to push on until about lap 16, I imagine, before they decide to go onto the soft compound tyre. Now, I reckon they're going to have to try and work with each other here, because Roscoe's going to get a lot of momentum here. And you can see OP still conserving. Just a little bit. Roscoe using that DRS. Oh, he looked. He was thinking about it. And he thought wiser of it. He doesn't go for the overtake. Joggles overtaking Banana here. That's for P12, just outside the points. Ooh, Banana looked like he had a moment there at the exit of Parabolica. New fastest lap to Joggles, 1 minute 22.295. Overtake mode engaged there for Joggles. He didn't want to give up the position. Sorrel gaining on the rock as well. So we might have a battle for P8. Wow. 3-second time penalty for Edmund. 3-second time penalty for Joggles. Oh no, is this where it starts? Is this where the tsunami of penalties start? At about the halfway point into the race, so then we have another dynamic that we have to think about during the race. Oh no. Where is Tier 1 Live? If you... Oh, wait a minute. Is it on? I'll just quickly check for you. Should be on. If you look on the actual channel, Race Spec Esports, you should be able to see Pacific Series Tier 1, Round 12 Italian Grand Prix. Spelled out exactly how I've said it. You should be able to find it on the main channel itself. If not, if you're in the Discord, look at race live streams, hashtag race live streams in the Discord chat. You can find it there as well. At the moment, not much going on. Everyone's sort of behaving themselves, which is not Monza-like. I guess that's what happens when you get drivers who are really good at what they do. They don't make silly mistakes like us lower class people do. Such as myself, who makes mistakes on a constant basis. But that really what separates the fast from the stupidly fast, are those who can manage their mistakes and just keep punching out lap times, really good lap times on a consistent basis. Roscoe, he's looked threatening. I reckon this is the most threatening he's looked. To the inside OP. You can see there OP's gesturing to Roscoe. Mate, stay behind me. I don't want you in front. Didn't want to give up the position at all, did OP Magic. Because of that little skirmish, they lost about half a second to G4 Stray. DRS open. Gaining. And again, OP sort of defending the middle of the road. Roscoe, he sort of backed out of that. You could hear the engine note change. So he didn't want to fight for the position just yet. Meanwhile, battle for 10th place. This is for 1 point at this stage. DRS open. Edmund gaining, but it's not enough. I reckon he's just going to set up an overtake into turn 1. So I reckon this lap, OP Magic and Roscoe will make their pit stops for soft compound tyres. I have a feeling. It's either this lap or next lap they're going to do it. But here we go. I'm sure Edmund's going to go for this one. DRS open. Gaining. Not enough. That Racing Point has got some serious straight line speed. Well done, Kitbuck Kiwi, hanging on to P10 for now. I have to say, this is quite a nice aerial shot. Looking at the cars going through Curva Grande. See there, Kitbuck Kiwi, even on harder compound tyres, he's still managing to hang on. Doing a very nice job. Sorel onto the back of the Ferrari of the Rock. Oh, and the top two. I'm sure they're going to box. No, OP stays out. Roscoe arms in. Pull it up. He does. So Roscoe arm's going to get an undercut on OP here. Can it work to the same effect that G4 Stray had over curving in a RAS? Sector 3 yellow flags, that's Blocky. Having a moment at Ascari. I have to say, it's been a while since I've seen an accident like that at Ascari in this race. The drivers have conducted themselves really well. Again, Edmund gaining, but it's not enough. Oh, and the braking boards are missing as well. Oh dear. First time I really rode on board with someone through turn 1 like that. Of course, with that lap 1 incident, braking boards completely destroyed. Sorrell really close for an overtake here. Nice battle. I reckon he's going to have a go just before Ascari. Right on board with the Red Bull. Alright, here we go. DRS open. Gaining. He's not going to use overtake though, so he's not going to go for an overtake just yet. OP Magic, is he in? Yes, he is. So there goes your race leader into the pits. That means GeForce Dre now resumes the lead of this race. Curving Texas in second. Harass in third. So OP should come out about P7 or so. Ready to go on fresh tyres. There he is. Here come Reaper and Roscoe Arm. And there's the undercut in a nutshell. Oh, and look at that, just in front. Reaper and Roscoe Arm. That was very nasty there at turn 1. See there, both drivers having a big moment just before the braking zone. I'm guessing Reaper moving on the brakes. I just saw the Ferrari just move massively there, just in the braking zone. Now let's see what these guys can do. The top 4 are pretty spread out, but they're on fresh tyres. They've got a license to put the hammer down. And their first target is F1 Hawk. And I don't think they're in this sort of position because of the strategy either. The strategy certainly helps, they're now on fresh soft tyres, but it's because they're 2 fantastic operators and they're making this strategy work. Doing an absolutely fantastic job. And OP, he's going to absolutely slingshot by here. And look at how much ERS he's got. So much. I don't think he will even use a cent of it overtaking. Maybe a little bit of overtake there. Scoots on by the Williams. Into the braking zone of turn 1. Locking up massively though. Oh, OP. No racing line for OP, I know that. So it's going to be difficult for him to spot his braking point for turn 1 with all the braking boards being destroyed. Side by side. 11th place. Just in front is 10th place, which is Joggles. Rock. P9 now, being overtaken by Sorel. Can he counter-attack? Get that 8th place back? We'll have to wait and see. And Roscoe Arm is on a charge. He's already 1.4 seconds behind F1 Hawk. I don't know why OP decided to go 1 lap longer. I think that was a bit of a bad call there from OP. He should have come in when Roscoe Arm did. He cost himself too much time. Look at that gap. Ooh, come down rapidly. Got a nice train of cars just in behind. But the top 3 are putting on a masterclass in driving. They're a long way ahead of this pack of cars. Gap is now just over 1 second between 4th and 5th place. Into the first Lesmo. Gap is now half a second. F1 Hawk is struggling on these tyres. Here we go. Down the second DRS straight. Heading towards Ascari. He's going to look around the outside into Ascari. This could be a hard move to pull off. F1 Hawk goes deep, understandably so. Roscoe Arm right in behind the Haas, but doesn't make contact. Into Parabolica. It's going to be a very straightforward move here for Roscoe Arm. Pull it to the inside or to the outside. Oh, DRS open now for the Ferrari. That Haas has got some straight line speed though. But he's going to look around the outside. If he can hold it there, he can't. He has to back out. The F1 Hawk driving well. And that's allowing OP to catch up. There he is. Oh, hello. Bit of stick there. Oh, and into the back of him! They collide! Oh my goodness! How unnecessary was that? And here comes OP Magic around the outside of his teammate into the first les mode. He scoots himself into P4. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. You can see there Roscoe went so much deeper on the brakes because, well, quite frankly, he could. He was on fresher tyres on the soft compound. He could go deeper. F1 Hawk couldn't. He's on old mediums. He couldn't brake as deep as what Roscoe could. And Roscoe spinning out. Same with F1 Hawk. Both of them losing positions, but ultimately Roscoe loses out more, now down in 7th place, potentially with a damaged front wing, as Conrad Strait has just been given a 3-second time penalty. Now the wing doesn't look too bad, but he just might have a lime green wing. Car's now got the revving glitch too. Fantastic! Roscoe now back into P6. Yeah, oh dear, oh dear. OP now trying to hunt down Harass. Gap is 7.4 seconds. He's got a few laps remaining, about 5.5 laps. He needs to gain about a second a lap or so. It's going to be quite a tall order. Looking behind though, this is starting to develop a battle for 7th place. Sorrell and The Rock hunting down Grim Reaper in P7. Not too far behind his place, which is Joggles, or side by side between the Williams and the Red Bull. Sorrell gets past into 7th. Or sideways for the Red Bull on the exit of the Ascari chicane. Grim Reaper's going to launch. Sierra Parabolica locking up there. They're still side by side. Out onto the marbles is the Williams. So he's going to lose a lot of time. There we go. He's going to lose some position here as well. Here comes The Rock. Here comes Joggles. He's got momentum. He's got a run. Gaining, gaining, gaining. And Grim Reaper doesn't have DRS down the inside maybe. He's going to send it. Oh, they give each other the space. You always need to give each other the space. Oh, and a moment for Rock. Oh, and a massive one for Sorrell. Oh, so lucky he didn't go into the wall there. Now that could have been a lot worse, but he's now down in 10th place. Well, everywhere I look, there just seems to be an accident happening at the moment. Dearie me. Meanwhile, the top 3 look relatively unchallenged at the moment. Maybe I had too high of an expectation for this race. Field really starting to spread. So we've still got some battles going on, which is fantastic to see. These two once again. So Roscoe Arms got pace. He's now caught onto the back of the Haas. So it's F1 Hawk versus Roscoe Arm. Take 2. Let's see how this goes. Let's see how both drivers behave. This is a battle for 5th place in this race. We've now ticked over to 4 laps to go. Into turn 1, turn 2, sideways. He went into neutral then, Roscoe Arm. Don't put it into neutral. Around turn 3, Curva Grande. Towards where these two had their incident earlier. They learned from it. Oh, the Roscoe Arm. He had so much more speed, so much more grip. F1 Hawk blocking the middle of the racetrack, making sure the Ferrari has no opening. But he might be defenseless here. Roscoe Arm's got a fair amount of ERS percentage. Oh, that's tight. That is tight. Heading towards Ascari. There's side-by-side contact. Oh, he keeps it there, Roscoe Arm, and he backs out. This is some tight racing between these two. I love it. Heading towards turn 11. The Rock, 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. I'll have a look at penalties in just a moment. But I want to look at this. F1 Hawk. A bit of a ooh. Bit of a lag spike then. Deary me. Into turn 1. No braking board, so anyone who's not using racing line, you're kind of screwed. Heading towards turn 4, where these guys had their little moment. Oh my word, and off the circuit goes Roscoe. Oh no. Oh, this could be really nasty. Oh, this could be in the back. That could have been really nasty then. But Roscoe off the racetrack. He's now down in 10th place. Unfortunately, the camera angle wasn't a particularly good one. I'm sure those two are going to have a discussion after this race, I'm certain of it. Let's have a look at pens. Might as well have a look. 3 seconds, 5 seconds, but probably served. Or maybe not. So he has 8 seconds maybe. Curving has got 2 warnings. That gap is 5.6 seconds with 2 laps to go. Now I'm just wondering, has he served that penalty? A 5-second penalty for what exactly? On lap 8. Incidents. Speeding in the pits. So no, he wouldn't have served that. He wouldn't have served that. And he's got 3 seconds as well, because that's what the invalidated lap time means. Sideways for joggles as well. Dear me. That's what that invalidated lap time means. That means he's got a 3-second time penalty on top. So he's got 8 seconds, if I'm correct. Curving has got nothing. He's on for a race win with 1 lap to go. What a development. What about Harass? He's got 3 seconds, I think. OP Magic has got none. F1 Hawk has got 3 seconds. I'll just have to wait and see when the drivers cross the line, as Grim Reaper gets a 3-second time penalty. But I think that invalid in the penalties means he's got a penalty. It shouldn't be invalidated lap. It should be a penalty that comes up. We'll have to wait and see when these cars cross the line. But if Curving can manage to get it in within 5 seconds on the final lap, it doesn't matter. 0.3 of a second. If he could get it under 4.9, under 5, if he can get it on 4.9, he's 100% got it. If he stays over 5 seconds, I'm not sure. Here we go. The final corner, Parabolica. G-Force Dre will cross the line in first place. He wins the Italian Grand Prix. He has a 5-second unserved time penalty across the line. Oh, it wasn't a pen. It wasn't. It was just a warning. It must have been. The gap between the top two, only 0.2 of a second, as OP Magic gets fastest lap. And 4th place, Harass gets P3. F1 Hawk come across the line in 5th place. Joggles P6. Roscoe Arm jumps up to P6 with no pen. Sorrell P7. Grim Reaper P8. Edmund will get 9th, and Joggles rounds out the top 10. The Rock, Kickbutt Kiwi, Conrod Strait, Blocky Rex. They'll make up P11 down to 14 with Banana Cake Pie rounding out the finishes in 15th. But how about that? Unless Curving got a pen. He had 2 warnings. No, he didn't. There we go. G-Force Dre. Another close finish due to time penalties. Driver of the day to OP Magic. Fair enough, very fair. But that's a very, very close finish. Somewhat similar to what happened in Hungary, where it got so close. The curving this time didn't come out as the top dog. He finishes in second place, just 0.2 of a second behind G-Force Dre, who takes another victory in this Tier 2 championship. So the unofficial results here at Monza, G-Force Dre taking the win as, like I said, by 0.2 of a second. 0.2, 200s, 2000s. That's pretty close. Harass in P3, OP Magic in P4, F1 Hawk in P5, Roscoe comes home in P6, and driver of the day, fair enough to OP, from 12th all the way up to 4th place. It was a nice drive from him. Sorrel in P7, Grim Reaper in 8th, Edmund in 9th, Joggles in 10th place and scoring 1 point. The Rock in 11th, Kickbutt Kiwi in 12th, Conrad Strait in 13th, Blocky Rex in 14th, and Banana K Pie in 15th place. And tell you what, I'll make sure I get a quick squiz of the incident report just in case if the stewards need it, as well as the pit stops. That way the stewards can watch the stream and pause it at any time if they need to have a review of the said report. But that wasn't too bad. If I looked at the penalties earlier, if I wasn't so consumed by some of the battles going on, I might have realised that the battle for the lead was actually on. But when you see a gap like that, you really don't think there was going to be any sort of battle. And typically, Dre is the sort of driver who doesn't make those sort of little mistakes. And Dre made one there, and he got a 5-second time penalty, and it almost cost him the win. So he'll consider himself very, very lucky. He'll be counting his lucky stars tonight to win that Grand Prix by such a fine margin. He'd be very, very lucky, but curving might be a little bit disappointed. Just 0.2 of a second. I might have pushed harder a little bit here, pushed harder a little bit there. 0.2, that's only one mistake that you make in that race. Like, you could use the counter argument that curving made one teeny tiny mistake and that cost him a win. All he had to be was 4.9 seconds behind G-Force Dre and he would have taken victory. So both drivers will definitely learn something from tonight's race. But not a bad race here at Monza. We had some lap 1 carnage, as you do. We had some carnage later on, as you do. And we had some pretty racing here and there. Not as much as I would have thought, but there was some nice racing regardless. But that will end round 12 of this championship season, and G-Force Dre is really starting to look somewhat unstoppable. He increases his lead out massively in this championship, so yeah, it's going to be difficult for anyone to challenge this guy in the Mercedes-Benz, but we'll have to wait and see. It is Formula 1, anything can happen. But that will end the European leg of the Formula 1 season. We now jump over to Asia, if I'm not mistaken. I'm pretty sure I'm right. To Singapore, I think. Singapore Grand Prix around Yas Marina. I'm pretty sure I'm right. I'll double check that so that I'm not talking out of my ass. Race results. Yeah, Singapore. So, Singapore. Common characteristics. Very technical circuit. Very, very tight. Somewhat demanding. You have to cut absolutely everything. But the most notable feature of the Singapore Grand Prix is that it is undoubtedly the longest race in the season. It's pretty much this season's endurance race. It's very, very tough in night conditions as well. It can rain as well at Singapore, and that makes everything worse. You basically get everything that's bad about the circuit, add rain, and everything just becomes a shit show. So if it does, we're either in for a very, very boring long race, or it's absolute carnage. It's one or the other with Singapore. It's not typically in between, nice and in between, like it has been at Monza, at Spa, at the Hungaroring. That was a magnificent race. But with Singapore, it's either boring or crazy. It's one or the other. So keep an open mind for Singapore. Keep an open mind. It should be a winning race. Hopefully. Right. Banana, thank you for that, but you might need to work on your turn 1 here at Monza. Dear oh dear, that was something else, not gonna lie. But I think that will end the stream, folks. Yep, next week it should be an absolute blast. Until then, I've been the Smeg. Thank you all so much for watching, and we'll see you all next week at the Marina Bay Street Circuit in Singapore. Until then, good night.